Hi, I'm NJ.
And I'm Martina.
And we're doing the Black Pages Navigator
to help simplify your creative journey from A to Z.
So like, C's for creative, so like, what does that mean for you with like the stuff that you do with your work?
To me, a creative is anyone that kind of like creates something, whether that is you are an artist making music or you're like a painter or anything like that. So I, at my agency, just kind of help to make sure that you know how to brand yourself regardless of what that is. Because I feel like sometimes you have a story that you don't know how to tell. A lot of people don't like the word creative because they don't think they are creative. So we just kind of help you actually realize that, no, actually you are, and you can package it like this.
For me, it's like being a creative is just somebody who is an extension of like storytelling. I feel like everybody has their way of just like being able to illustrate and tell a story and communicate something that is meaningful but in different ways. Everybody that's around me has their different capacities and what they can do in terms of creatively, and like it just goes beyond expectations because they just allow themselves to commit to the process. M is for monetizing your craft. So monetizing your craft, I can't lie, it is hard from that conversion of just like being that creative and just doing what you want to do, but then flipping that into some coin. And being able to do that is, of course, big up because we're from African homes, innit? We're from African homes, so
we haven't really seen people do it like that.
Yeah, like thankfully, like I've had some people throughout like my life that have dedicated their world to like creating art, and so I've been able to see it from like drips and drabs of friends or family. It gets to a point of course, like where any creative, where you're a musician, whether you're a DJ, where you want to monetize your craft, and I feel like when you get to that place, you have to be just having that fine-tuned form of just professionalism across the board, and knowing that like your network is your net worth. I think that's what's been able to help me just grow, especially not only with Wanderlust but my photography as well. So that was.
I feel like I'm going to say something controversial, and I don't think all things should be monetized. I think you should sometimes pick something, like if you are an artist and you like making music, you can monetize that. But if you also like, I don't know, I'm sticking with this, but if you're a painter and you also like painting, maybe just monetize the music side of things, and then leave the painting to do something that you can do in your hobby or like your spare time. Because I feel like when you try to monetize all of your talents, you don't actually want to do anything, because then you find that you have so many rules and restrictions that it's no longer fun anymore. So I think pick and choose, but make sure that you have a network of people that you can lean on to help you if you do decide.
It can be very hard, especially when you have like so many pockets of yourself and you're just like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then you're just like, what can you actually focus on to make sure that you're implementing change for yourself and like progression as well, whether that is of like financial gain or not. Being able to get to a point of whereby you're monetizing your craft, there has to be some form of system as well. My network have been able to get me into places that I would have not been able to get by myself, and like small things such as recommendations or people seeing your hard work and your like consistency is something that always adds value to the price of your work at the end of the day.
Absolutely. S is for safe spaces. I think we need more of them in the creative industry. I feel like everyone's kind of like horrible. Not everyone. There are a lot of spaces that kind of feel like a lot of people want to take or exploit your lack of understanding or your talents because you're, for example, wanting an opportunity. But I think as long as you have people around you, like your network or a community that can basically give you the support that you need, and also like you can go to for like, hey, I've got a brand has come to me for this, how much should I charge? Like all of that kind of stuff. I think that's what makes the creative industry a safer space as opposed to kind of walking through it on your own lonesome.
Definitely. Is it like having a community is like just so essential, because getting that advice is like one to none. Like you'll never be able to get good advice from anywhere but the people that I think you know in the spaces that you are already. Looking into like having a safe space is so important because you just want to be able to just share your thoughts freely. Or I think with being at Wanderlust, the biggest thing is just the spaces that are held, and looking at live events like is always a big thing, and ensuring that like the event is of course a good event, but at the same time people were there to feel some form of comfort and peace and ease. And whether that be like a only girls club night or a place for people that like comics or whatever that may be, it's so essential that as a creator as well, when you're organising those spaces, that you're inviting the people that you're wanting them and can ensure that they're providing a safe space for others. It's essential to have just in order to coordinate a space that is just healthy and nice to be at. That's something that will always evolve in what that means for everybody, but as long as everybody's on like, the same page, like there's no hopefully harm done.
Yeah, I think we actually did an event last September called Let's Talk Creating Safe Spaces.
Okay.
And the biggest thing for us was making sure that our events are always like quite intimate. So when we're having panels, we're talking maybe 50, 60 people max, because it's about making sure that everyone feels like they can like ask the question that they may not typically want to ask in a crowd of hundreds of people. So it's actually thinking, okay, maybe it is the like ask Anna in the toilet so that people know that, or whatever, I can't remember what the name is, but like so people know that if they have an issue that they can go to the bar and they can say this, or maybe it's actually making sure that there aren't that many people in the room. So if someone does need to ask a quite personal question, they feel comfortable doing so. So yeah, I think it's different to everybody, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. Like one place that's been big for me is Clink, like a few years back. It's like a queer black party, predominantly held by like people who are of course in the queer space, but mainly like women and people that are non-binary, and like being in that space and being able to enjoy dancehall, being able to enjoy Afro beats is just really nice, because you don't ever get that form of intersectionality within the spaces that sometimes are like for black music, and like being able to find a place that really provides not only your music but a part of your identity as well is just like essential, and it's just really great creation as well. So yeah, like safe spaces will always be like #1 priority, whatever I'm doing for myself.
These for building a brand. I feel like everyone has something to say. The one thing that I find that when I'm speaking to clients at 66 is that people forget how interesting their lives are because they do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you need someone to take a step out and be like, okay, so talk to me about what you do on a day-to-day basis. Do you brush your teeth a certain type of way? Is it toothpaste first then water, or is it water then toothpaste? Because to somebody else, that could actually start a conversation if you create content out of it. And I think for me, it's also remembering that like nothing is too small, and it doesn't always have to be this big conceptualized thing like in a studio. It could literally be something that you shot in your house. But I think when it comes to building a brand, I think you actually just have to like stay true to yourself and not try to like jump on trends that may not be relevant to you, because I feel like going viral is great, everyone wants to do that, but you end up with people that only want that kind of piece of content as opposed to everything that you want to put out in the world. So I think it's trying to get that balance right.
Yeah, like I think like with branding is honestly about being able to like determine your pace, because I feel like especially with Wanderlust, like we want to make sure that we're giving like information with black nightlife, but it's done on the space and timing of when we feel things are right. And that's like a very big thing to dictate as well, because at least people know who you are and how you stand as well. I think like building a brand like is always something that is gonna like change all the time. With like companies that I've worked for in the past, even like with Wanderlust, like just our look on just our aims with what we had when it came to the start of our brand, some things change, some things mutate over time, but it's all about understanding what it is and then moving forward with it, and if it meets and it aligns with what you're happy and comfortable with doing. Have you ever faced challenges with it yourself?
Yeah, I think for me it's just that balance of being a founder and then also being a young person. Like for a long time, I think when you look at what founders used to be like growing up, or like what I thought, it was like you have to be someone that is like suited and booted, or you know, like something like that, and that just isn't me. So a long time I just felt like that was holding me back in terms of how I showed up as a founder on the internet, or even how I posted on like my agency's page. The one thing that I've learned recently is that everyone is different, and as long as you are like I said before, being yourself and owning it completely, people will take to that. And then the other thing would be like consistency is a word that you hear all the time, but consistency doesn't mean posting every day. It could literally be, I know that I'm going to stick to posting 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then because I do that at a rhythm, my audience then realize, okay, cool, every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I can find a post from Wanderlust or from 66 Agency. So they just know. For me, you kind of want to be like EastEnders. You know, everyone knows when EastEnders is coming on. So that has to be the same for like you when you're building a brand. Nobody wants you to like kind of come and then like ghost and then be like, hey, hello, care about me again.
Yeah, definitely. Like we do for Wanderlust, like we actually have to like, so when we do our upcoming events, so it's at the end of the month, like I always used to be somebody that, of course, like when you're at uni, you're just waiting for the end of the month to find out, okay, like what motives I'm coming, bit of cash has dropped, like where the man I'm going, where's the people I'm going. It will be a good time to, of course, pick when payday's coming, because it's sometimes you need to make some wrong decisions. When, of course, the sign of when upcoming events is best to come, it was around payday. It's always been like a suited place for like everybody to come. Even when people get to like slowly start seeing it, they start seeing, of course, as you highlighted, that rhythm. People just know, of course, like we're getting that section of content that, of course, we just need to be on the lookout for and like when it's coming. It's always just, yeah, like key to just find your pace and then situate something, because with that, like you have to build your own structure that helps you, like building your brand as well. As much as I do respect spontaneity, there has to be some form of methodicalness into like why you're doing what you're doing as well, and like how you want to present yourself. For branding, like, that's like essential for me.
D is for Diaspora. Okay. I actually did another event about something like this, like exploring the relationship between East African creatives and like in the diaspora and those back home. And I actually asked a question, like, do we have the responsibility as people in the diaspora to go back home and help them, or are we potentially taking our Western ideologies that may be actually harmful to their ecosystem, thinking that we're actually doing a good thing? Like, I think it's such an interesting conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, East African. They're Kenyan here, so Ugandan as well, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I actually went back to Kenya in November, and like it was just such a, so I was shooting out there for like a Gabsy show, and like even though of course it's not as crazy as the infrastructure that we have in the UK, there's still something, and creatives that are like moving pace, like Tongazi magazine, newcomers that have like started out in Africa as well and like in the UK, and they're already doing so much impactful things, and there's creatives that are just hustling and just making it through. Even with like Black British culture, like we have our different facets of like that, whether you're in London, whether you're in Manchester, whether you're in Birmingham, and it's just like beautiful to see when you actually like dive into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the diaspora will have, I guess, the next chapter of the worlds that they're creating in different spaces of the globe. I guess there's just more to see, and just, I guess, more to trust in ourselves that we can get to the next stages. I've been NJ.
And I've been Martina.
And this has been the Black Pages Navigator.
To help simplify your creative journey from A to Z.
Yes! That was perfect, guys.